Hello, and welcome to Fast Matters, where we talk about fast ways to supercharge sports performance. I'm Martise Moore, the Run Master Coach, and today we're focused on sports fuel. And I'm joined by my special guest, Paula.
Hello.
Paula is a registered sports dietitian.
Yes.
Okay, and she is going to tell us all the things that we can do to help improve sports performance fast. So thanks for coming out and joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
We're out on the lovely lake. We are actually doing a pedal boat, you guys. Going back to the childhood, taking it back. So we're going to talk and pedal at the same time. So anyway, let's get started. Let's talk about why it's important to make sure that you fuel yourself properly in general. Like, how does it affect sport performance in general? Like, what does nutrition have to do with sports performance? How important is it? And how can it make you faster?
So definitely nutrition overall is important, because if you are an athlete, you're definitely more active than an average student or person. You're going to need more energy overall. So we eat to give ourselves energy and hydrate as well. So if you're depleted, meaning you don't have much energy, your performance is going to decrease. And as well as if you're dehydrated, it's going to affect the way you cool down, how fast you overheat, and hopefully you don't overheat. But all of that plays an important role overall.
Right. Beautiful. So mainly, like, as an athlete, well, I still call myself an athlete.
You are an athlete for sure, most definitely.
As an athlete, I definitely have issues in this area in terms of, how much I should eat before while working out and what I should eat after to help with recovery. I think one of the things I definitely struggled with when I was in school running is I just wanted to make sure that I didn't eat too much, because then I would get sick when I would work out. So could you share with us, like, some timelines in terms of how much or how much time you should eat before going out to work out? So let's say you have practice. Let's say, for instance, I have track practice. Okay? How long in advance should I eat so I can make sure that I'm properly prepared to train hard?
So everybody's different, of course, as far as how much and what types of foods they can tolerate. But in general, we typically recommend easily digestible carbohydrates if you only have an hour or less.
Okay.
So examples of that could be sports drinks. It doesn't have to be graham crackers, bananas, or a banana, toast. So those are all carbohydrates, very simple form. So they don't have a lot of fat or a lot of protein in them. They don't take long to digest. If you have more time, let's say you have, try to steer us, whatever.
We might be hitting the rocks soon.
If you have more time, then maybe you could tolerate like a turkey and cheese sandwich or peanut butter sandwich, or maybe a banana.
How much time do you think you need for that?
Oh,
like a sandwich?
2 to 3 hours.
Okay.
2 to 3 hours.
Yeah, because one of the things I struggled with in high school for sure is you have a lunch. Your lunch is at a specific time. You don't have to go over that. Yeah. And so track practice when I had a late lunch was like very soon after that. I was always worried about being sick. So if I have 2 or 3 hours, what could I eat besides these graham crackers and banana? Because at lunchtime you don't have like a real lunch.
Yeah, so that's probably when something more like maybe pasta, rice, sandwich, peanut butter and jelly, peanut butter and honey, banana. Those are going to be a little more filling than just a banana.
Right.
And that's something you can do. Of course, we have to be realistic. Some teenagers or younger athletes or adults as well want to have things like chips. Maybe instead of that, which is higher in fat, maybe have something more like pretzels and digest easier, like we said, graham crackers, in addition to your sandwich. Most fruits are fine, but they're really high in fiber. So if you're someone who doesn't tolerate much fiber even 2 to 3 hours before, then maybe save the fruits and vegetables.
What does fiber make you do?
Oh yeah, so right?
Okay, yeah.
That's great. That's good for you. So high fiber foods to keep regular. But you want to get those in maybe after your intense training, after your practice. Don't worry so much about having a big salad right before your training.
Right.
It's not important or helpful at that point, but more so after.
Right. So in your line of work, you've seen some trends in terms of what athletes tend to be deficient in. So could you talk about that a little bit? Like, what are some common deficiencies, nutrition-wise and even hydration-wise, and how we can do better with that?
Sure. So actually, and you just mentioned it, one of the most common deficiencies is energy overall. So there's a term for it. It's called relative energy deficiency in sport. And so that's when athletes that are really busy, they're working, going to school, studying, they're so busy, they just actually don't eat enough. And sometimes it's not intentional. So overall, their macronutrients, so protein, carbs, that's low already. So they're energy deficient. But then also those micronutrients, so like iron, vitamin D, calcium, those could be low too. And those are mainly the three ones we see that are fairly low. And the reason that's so important is because if you're low in iron, you could feel exhausted, don't perform well, have headaches, very fatigued. So of course that's going to decrease your sports performance. But then also calcium and vitamin D is important for your bones and bone strength. And so when you have athletes that are still growing, it's very, very important that they get enough. And then also for older athletes to keep their bones strong throughout, the aging process. So calcium, vitamin D, and iron are probably the most common micronutrient deficiencies. And with those iron you could get from meat, beans, lentils, some greens, and fortified grains. Calcium will be in, of course, like dairy, milk, yogurt, cheese, but also fortified grains, and now fortified milk alternatives. So not everybody eats or drinks dairy, so you can
like
do
almond milk.
Yeah, so most of them are now fortified with calcium and vitamin D, and soy too.
And we're out getting some vitamin D right now.
Yes, from the sun.
So
So that's good too, actually. Some in moderation, right?
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
So for some, athletes or parents who think, well, I'm just kind of busy and I don't always keep track of what I'm eating, and it's kind of hard to make sure I'm getting everything in. What about supplements and vitamins? Can you comment on that? Like, where does that fit in? Is it good for you? Is it safe?
Great question. So for athletes especially, we want to make sure if they're going to be taking any vitamins at all, first, of course, look at your general nutrition, see if there's room for improvement. But I know, you have to be realistic, and some athletes just aren't getting in fruits and vegetables and some of the dairy. So a multivitamin would be good. And if you have blood work done and you're low in iron or calcium, vitamin D, then you'll want to get those supplements or whatever you might be low in. But I would check with the registered dietitian and or physician if you got blood work done. And then for athletes, especially your very competitive, high-performing athletes, but I think for everyone in general, you want to make sure whatever vitamins and minerals you're taking are pure, right? You want to get whatever they're claiming is on the label is really in there. So there's great resources. One is NSF Certified for Sport. So this is a company that does third-party testing on vitamins, minerals, supplements to make sure it's really pure. What's in there is what they're claiming is in there. And there's an app, so it's free. Parents, teams, or everyone with a phone really, or you can look it up online. You can check out these products, search your vitamin or mineral, and see if it's in there.
So you said NSF, Nancy Sam Frank.
Yes. Yes, NSF for sport. And also there's other, a great resource too is to go to, if you were to Google Team USA Nutrition, you can find a lot of this information on there as well, and great handouts for if you're involved with team sports or any athletes at all. A lot of this information is on there as well, so you can have some good material to take with you.
Okay, perfect. Now, can you talk about, because sometimes we don't eat the right stuff, but it's whatever. So what are some signs that in your body that tell you that maybe you're deficient in some things? Because I know, especially when I was in high school, I didn't realize how important it was to get potassium, because I used to cramp up a lot, and it turned out there was a potassium deficiency.
Oh, wow.
So you could just tell us some common ways that your body tells you that something
Sure.
is deficient?
So cramping could be one, headaches, just feeling overall fatigued. And of course, a lot of us are tired when we don't get enough sleep. That's
Sure.
normal. But when you just know you're not feeling right, if you're getting injured at all and commonly getting injured or sick, those are really red flags. For women, your menstrual cycle or loss of your menstrual cycle is a big sign of not getting enough energy overall.
Okay. So what you mean by loss of it, you're not getting it
Right,
at all.
you're skipping your menstrual cycle. It's either irregular, but if you haven't been getting it for 3 months, it's definitely a sign to look at your nutrition and go to the doctor.
Okay, because that can happen to high-performing athletes.
Yes,
Right?
and I'm talking about if you're not on birth control.
Okay, okay.
So other things, so cramping, of course, or just aching. If things are aching, tingling,
Right.
muscles. And then, of course, to know what's going on, you could get blood work done. If you're getting headaches and you feel like you're eating really well, then maybe just look at your hydration too. You could get electrolytes, sodium, potassium, magnesium from foods. You don't have to necessarily take sports drinks if you're not working out for a very long period of time. But it might be a good idea just to check your hydration and then maybe even blood work if needed.
Okay.
It doesn't hurt to check.
Okay, so most of us, when we go to practice, we just take water. Is that okay? Or do we need the sports drink?
Great question. So for most, doing an hour and a half or less in climate like we have here in LA, water is fine. You can do some of the drinks that just have electrolytes, like it's basically just water with electrolytes. And then if it's really hot and you haven't eaten in a while, that's more so when you could use the sports nutrition drinks that have 6% carbohydrates. Those are your popular ones. You can find at any store mostly, and they'll have enough electrolytes too. Typically, there are other specialty products you could buy online that have more. If you're a heavy sweater and you have salt all over you when you're done, then you probably need one with more sodium in it.
Okay.
And you could try that out.
So you mean that like white crusty stuff is not like...
It's all salt, sodium. Yeah. I mean, and other electrolytes too. So you lose other minerals and electrolytes too. But yeah. So for most people, water's fine. But if you're going into practice and for whatever reason you haven't eaten in a long time and you just can't stomach eating anything solid, that's when those sports nutrition products can be really helpful.
Okay, great. So now we've finished practice, or we had a game or a race, and now we just want to eat everything in sight. Okay, can you comment on how that's okay to a certain extent, but also what we should be making sure that we get in terms of nutrients to help with recovery?
Yes, so I love that you said it's okay, because you don't need to just have chicken breast and broccoli, or something very...
I wouldn't do it anyway if you said.
Yeah, right after practice. But the main, I guess, macronutrients are, like if we're just talking about energy, you want to get something with protein and something with carbohydrates. When you're running track, an example of the sport we're using right now, when you're running, you're using carbohydrates as your main source of fuel, or stored glycogen, which is carbohydrates stored. So you need to replenish that glycogen. So eating something with carbohydrates, that can be bread, pasta, rice, bananas, potatoes, and all those have carbohydrates in them. And then paired with something with protein: beans, meat, chicken, fish, nuts, dairy, pizza. All of those things are fine. And then the one thing that sometimes we forget is the hydration. So the water, liquids, and you might have heard chocolate milk is a very popular recovery drink.
Yeah.
But the main reason it's so popular is because sometimes people don't want to eat a meal. Like if they're really hot, they need to cool down. So chocolate milk got popular because it has a good amount of carbohydrates because of the added sugar.
Right.
It's not necessarily the cocoa that's so special. Cocoa is great for you, but it's not necessarily the cocoa that's like the magical recovery. fuel.
Okay.
And then there's protein, of course, because it's dairy.
Okay.
So that would be fine, chocolate milk. But also, like if you're having pizza, and you're not going to go to another practice or any intense training, you can have some salad or vegetables on the side, or a little bit of vegetables on your pizza to get some of those vitamins.
Right.
And minerals.
Okay, I can do that.
yeah. But sandwiches, spaghetti, all of those are great recovery foods.
Perfect. Thanks for allowing us to still have fun.
Of course.
And
of
fuel
course.
at the same time.
Yeah, and I think one of my biggest, if there's anything, I think you'll be hurting more, performance will suffer more if you're under-fueled overall, and you go in each day being too strict, like we had talked about, versus being a little over-fueled.
Okay.
You know, of course, overeating too much, you're going to feel uncomfortable right before practice, but you'll be safer, better off in the long run if you're a little over-fueled versus under.
Oh, okay.
Same with recovery, right?
Right. Oh, perfect. Thank you. Let's eat, guys. So, all right. Well, thank you. You've given us such really good information to let us know what's okay and how we can do better, and easy ways that we can do better. I think for the parents out there, though, let's say they want to cook for their child, but everybody is busy. So what are some good after game meals that somebody could put together quickly for the family, and so the kid is in a better position to recover better and get the nutrients that they need to stay high-performing athlete?
Yeah, so I think if the parents or if the person cooking has enough time to prepare ahead of time, like in a batch, then sometimes spaghetti is a big popular one because you can make a lot and it tastes good the next day.
Yeah.
So and you just warm it up and it's ready.
Right.
And so that would be a good one if you have time to do that. Otherwise, baked potatoes are really easy with some chicken or meat or fish, and then pair it with a salad or roasted broccoli or vegetables really quick in the oven with some seasoning. Rice stir fry is a good stir fry chicken, vegetables, and rice. That's usually pretty quick. And of course, if you can prepare all those things ahead of time and just warm them up, if you know Monday night you're going to have practice, so you could make it Sunday night so that it's on the table ready to go when they get back.
Right.
Those would be some good ones. But of course, if cold food's okay, sandwiches can be good too.
Right. Okay. Perfect. Okay, cool. So thank you so much, Paula, for giving us all this wonderful information. We are going to be sure to run with it and use it to help us perform better. Because at the end of the day, we want to always improve and get better at whatever sport we're in. So we know that nutrition is important, and thanks for making it palatable for us to actually want to do it right.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for having me. It's been fun.
Okay, so Paula is accessible at olanutrition.org if you want any more tips and ideas from her. And I just want to say, everybody out there, that fast does matter. So make sure you're doing what you can to be an improved athlete by checking out GreenRunnerLA.com. And until next time, stay fast!